It was amazing, Susie said on the car phone. Lesley asked where I got the matching purse, Angelica. Of course it looked great on me. Why wouldn't it? Do you hear something? Paul asked. Excuse me, Angelica. Susie ended the call. No, dear, I don't hear anything. Especially not with you talking so much in my ear. Wait here, Paul instructed, pulling the car to the side of the road. While Susie continued on the phone, Paul got out and popped the hood. Steam billowed up like a geyser, making sweat bead on his forehead. Wiping his brow with a handkerchief, Paul returned to the car. Seeing a pair of towers peeking above the treetops gave him a glimmer of hope. He re-entered the car, finding Susie still engrossed in her conversation. Sorry, dear, but the car's dead, Paul said with a sigh. The good news is there's a house just beyond the trees. We should be able to call for a tow truck and still make it to the party. I have to go, Angelica, Susie said, ending the call. I hope so. They walked down the dark, wooded path. Bats fluttered overhead, owls hooted, and the wind rustled the trees. Eventually, Susie spotted the roof of a house above the treetops. Finally, Susie grumbled, leaning against a tree, removing her shoe, and rubbing her aching foot. My feet are killing me. As they reached the end of the path, the moon emerged from behind the clouds, revealing an eerie old house. Did we walk onto a horror movie set or what? Paul joked, as bats circled the towers, avoiding the moonlight. Susie and Paul approached the house and peeked through a window. Shadows moved in the darkness. The light is casting figures, Paul whispered. Someone must be home. They rang the doorbell, and the door creaked open on its own. They tiptoed inside. Is anyone here? Paul called. No response. Then, bang! The door slammed shut, and Susie, startled, knocked over a mannequin while clutching Paul in fear. Relax, Susie, Paul said soothingly. It was just the wind. Hey! Susie exclaimed with a smile. The mannequin's shoes are just my size. My old ones got ruined in that muddy forest. If you want them, you'll need to pay the store owner, Paul said, approaching the front counter and tapping the small bell on it. Who ruined my mannequin? Josie's voice came from the top of the stairs. I should make you take its place until I can repair it. I don't want to be some dummy dressed up in tacky clothes by strangers, Susie said, backing away in fear, only to have Paul grab her arm. Can't you recognize a joke? Paul chuckled. Do you have a phone we can use? Certainly, it's straight down the hall, Josie said, pointing to a dark corridor as an overhead light illuminated a tiled floor. Just follow the path of colored tiles. A woman's laughter echoed through the old halls, sounding almost like a warning to turn back. Despite the eerie vibe, they decided to press on. The path led them to a door, which, when opened, revealed a child's playroom. There's no phone in here, Paul said, surveying the room. They each saw it differently. Paul noticed a pink rug, a canopied bed, a pink alarm clock, and a dollhouse. Susie saw a blue rug, a cowboy lamp, action figures, and horror posters on the walls. They moved to the door at the far end of the room and opened it. The path of colored tiles continued, guiding them through more darkened halls. Paul didn't realize Susie was no longer looking up at him but staring straight at him at eye level. They entered another room and found a phone. There's a phone, Paul said, finding himself in another bedroom. To him, it was filled with fashion magazines, LP records, and makeup kits. To Susie, it was a room with a bunk bed, Playboy magazines sticking out from under a pillow, and clothes strewn about. When Paul picked up the phone, there was no dial tone. Almost like a movie plot, Paul sighed, his voice higher than usual. They left the room and continued down the darkened halls, which lit up as they passed through and dimmed again behind them. The next room resembled a small apartment. Once again, they each perceived it differently and began to fall into a trance-like state. Susie, finding the mannequin's shoes too small, left them behind, and Paul mindlessly stepped into them, finding a perfect fit. In the next bedroom, Paul noticed a queen-size bed that seemed perfect for a couple. Both were acting as if in a trance. Paul didn't notice that his body had morphed into a perfect copy of Susie, while Susie had become a perfect replica of him. Seeing a purple bikini on a dressmaker's dummy, Paul couldn't resist changing into it. "This matches my shoes perfectly," Paul said in Susie's sweet voice. "You just have to buy it for me." At that moment, the phone by the bed rang. Paul answered automatically. "Susie here." "This is Josie, the store owner," Josie said. "I just wanted to let you know that your car has been repaired and is ready to take you to the party. Also, the shoes and bikini will be charged to your credit card. You're free to leave whenever you're ready." As a waltz spun around, they found themselves back in the store's front room with Josie. Paul gave Susie a romantic smile, now wearing Susie's face. Even though Paul was now in a woman's body, he still preferred women, which was exactly what Josie had hoped for. "Call me sometime," the new Susie, formerly Paul, whispered to Josie, handing her a business card. "Paul and I are just together for a business party. You're more my type." Josie's smile showed her satisfaction with the evening sale. She knew she would take the new Susie up on her offer soon.